I'm Rob Heck. I'm an ER physician, and I developed the Easy Lift Rescue System backboard. I've been an ER physician for now 20 years, and I've seen thousands of patients come in on backboards. And I realized that the backboards not only were a problem for the patients, but they were a problem for the medics and the emergency service personnel in the field. Lifting those backboards from the ground is just quite a feat. And I started thinking about how the paramedics are lifting patients, sometimes 350-pound patients, off the floor on these backboards to get them onto the gurney. And that's when I came up with the Easy Lift Rescue System backboard. The way I came up with the Easy Lift Rescue System backboard is I started thinking about the biomechanics of lifting. And I go to the gym just to stay in shape, and I do deadlifts often to keep my back in shape. And I thought, well, these paramedics are doing the exact same lift. What's the difference? And on the surface, it does look very similar. Doing a deadlift looks very similar to deadlifting a patient off the ground, but in fact, when you really look at it, bodybuilders, weightlifters, physical fitness fanatics, anybody who's lifting weights, they're never lifting anything from the floor. It's always at least 6 or 8 inches, sometimes 9 or more off of the ground. And that's the big difference. The biomechanics of lifting really change completely once you have to reach all the way down to the ground to do the lift. I started talking to the medics that were bringing patients into me and found out that back injuries were a big problem with their job, and lifting patients off the ground was also a big problem with their job. They now have gurneys that automatically lift just by pushing a button, but they still have the problem of lifting patients from the ground to the gurney, and that's where I came up with the extendable handles that are on the Easy Lift Rescue System. Patients that are transported on backboards, they are strapped to the backboard at the ground level, and they have to be lifted on the backboard up to the gurney. And most gurneys can collapse down to, at the very lowest, 12 inches. Most are more like 18 inches. And somehow the paramedics have to get that patient from the ground on the backboard up to the gurney. It's a very difficult position to be in. The biomechanics of lifting, it's become very dangerous at that point where you're reaching down by your toes to lift a patient up. So I developed the backboard with extendable handles that allows the lifter of the backboard, the fire and EMS rescue personnel, to lift from a standing position. They no longer have to bend down to lift the patient up. They actually are standing. They can keep their back straight. They can put their rear end out and use the strength of their quads and their hamstrings and their glutes in order to lift the patient instead of using just the lower back. I came up with the Easy Lift Rescue System to help these workers deal with the lifting of patients from the ground to the gurney. This is an area that really has not been addressed in at least the 20 years that I've been working in the field of emergency medicine.
Here's the lift now with the Easy Lift Rescue System's backboard. As you can see, there's no change to the way a paramedic uses our backboard. Getting the patient onto the backboard is done exactly the same way. The big change is how the board is lifted. The handles on the Easy Lift Rescue System extend, which is really important because it fundamentally changes the body position to begin the lift for a paramedic from the poor position we saw with the traditional backboard to a body position that is optimal for lifting correctly.
And 1, 2, 3.
With the Easy Lift Rescue System backboard, notice how the upstairs rescuer is able to keep his back straight, his arms extended in front of him, and his lower body is able to take the weight of the patient more efficiently so as not to injure his back. The downstairs rescuer is also able to keep his back nice and straight, his arms extended in front of him, and more efficiently use his strength to carry the patient. The Easy Lift Rescue System backboard also makes it much easier to carry a patient downstairs. Notice how the upstairs rescuer is now able to keep his back nice and straight, his arms extended in front of him, and he's able to use his legs to carry the weight of the patient. With a traditional backboard, this would mean that the upstairs rescuer has to bend over and is actually holding the weight of the patient, pulling them downstairs, putting an immense amount of strain on their back.
This is the problem. These guys cannot be lifting patients off the floor. They have to elevate the patient before they lift him. And I thought that if we put handles on a backboard and they were able to lift from a standing position, the biomechanics would be in their favor. They would no longer injure their back, and we would have a safer way to transport patients.